I have always kept those interests in mind. It has been said that a test of a people is how it behaves to the old. The care for the elderly and frail in our society has been a matter of increasing concern for me. I want all elderly to live out their last years with respect and dignity. Reports from the Health and Disability Commissioner into home-based care of the elderly and the Auditor General's report into the effectiveness of arrangements to monitor the quality and safety of rest homes in New Zealand found significant problems. And there have been a number of reports in the media of disturbing failures in rest home care. I asked for the Health Select Committee to undertake an inquiry into the quality of rest homes and home-based care services. 3 times my request was turned down. So Labour, with the support of the Greens, joined forces with Grey Power to investigate the quality of our country's rest homes and home-based support services. In the last few months, Sue Kedgley and I have travelled the country meeting with thousands of elderly people, their families and carers, listening to their concerns. It was very touching listening to many elderly people tell their stories. One couple in Christchurch, both in their 90s, told us of how they looked after each other in their own home. They were disappointed that their home care was cut from 3 to 1.5 hours a week. They said they could manage to shower each other, but they did need some help to keep the house clean. Elderly New Zealanders do not ask for much. We need to ensure that they have the support they need to live independently. One of my last tasks in Parliament was to sign off the report into aged care. It will be released on Friday. The report has a range of important recommendations and is a call to action to ensure that every elderly person in New Zealand is treated with dignity and respect. I look forward to the recommendations of this report gaining support from all sides of the House. Mr. Speaker, the defining conflict in the 20th century was the conflict between communism and capitalism. The defining conflict of the 21st century may well be the conflict between the Islamic world and the West, between Islam and Christianity. Interfaith dialogue is an important way of building relationships across the boundaries of civilizations and working to reduce the level of suspicion and fear between religious faiths. Our experience at home in New Zealand and in our own region leads us to believe that at the global level it is possible to build a world which respects and accommodates difference and promotes development, peace and security. Phil Goff made me opposition spokesperson on interfaith issues, demonstrating Labour's commitment to promoting and acknowledging the importance of interfaith dialogue. The Labour Party is often referred to as a broad church, and our members have a range of views on interfaith dialogue. The St Bede's College old boy, Clayton Cosgrove, told me he had regular interfaith dialogue with the local Catholic priests in his Waimakariri electorate. We are all products of our culture, history and heritage. Our commonalities are far stronger than our differences. In New Zealand, the issues of Muslims are similar to those faced by those of Jewish, Christian, Buddhist and other faiths. And one thing that is important to all humanity, to people of all faiths, is finding a way to limit harmful extremism and intolerance. New Zealand is a small nation, but we have been leaders on issues of international importance: votes for women, nuclear-free legislation, the stand against apartheid. New Zealand and New Zealanders are at their best when we stand against injustice. We need to make a stand to protect the rights of all religious groups in our society. Mr. Speaker, in my maiden speech I said our nation needs a new politics of honesty, hope and healing, a politics that brings our communities and nation together so all New Zealanders can fully participate and live a life of dignity. At times during the last decade, I have seen glimpses of the hope and healing that good politics can bring. But last week, we all saw the division and indignity that came when the New Zealand identity of the Governor-General, another child of immigrants, was questioned. What do we need to do to ensure that all New Zealanders can fully participate and live a life of dignity? Looking to our own cultures and faiths is a useful point of departure. I start from the proposition that New Zealand is a Pacific nation. Whatever our origins, we have all travelled through the Pacific to arrive in this land. New Zealand society is increasingly multicultural. Difference and pluralism is becoming central to our New Zealand identity. The New Zealand I was born into in the 1950s was a homogeneous, monolingual, monocultural, bland, colourless society. The New Zealand of the 21st century is a heterogeneous, multilingual, multicultural, vivid and colourful society. We have some very important choices facing us as a society and as a nation. We can choose to celebrate difference, diversity and pluralism, and deal with the excitement and tension that goes with that choice, or we can try and ignore difference and diversity and say that we are all the same. As a woman of the Pacific and a proud New Zealander, I will advocate for celebrating difference, diversity, pluralism and inclusion every time, because they are the keys to retaining our cultural and spiritual values. As a Samoan, I know my community is based on families and extended families, ainga and ainga poto. Our community in turn is based on the Samoan values of alofa, fa'aloalo and anganga, love, respect, reciprocity and spirituality. These values are demonstrated through tautua service. Service to family, service to church, service to community, service to our nation. These are the values that have guided me in my time in Parliament. All New Zealanders have similar stories, including Sir Anand Satinand and Paul Henry. Through telling our stories and through listening to the stories of other New Zealanders, we get to understand each other and to celebrate the richness and increasing diversity of our multicultural nation. That diversity is to be found in the mana electorate, which has the cultural mix that all New Zealand will have in 50 years' time. It has been a great honour to serve the people of Porirua City and the Kapiti Coast as their Member of Parliament since 2002. Jobs, health, housing, education, income support, transport and immigration have been the major issues that occupied me and my electorate staff in Porirua City and up the Kapiti Coast.